ToRaH Garden, speaking the absolute truth. ToRaH Nation. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Yashar and Yahudah, grafted in Gentiles into the body of Mashiach. We give praise to Yahudah for the witness, the RUACH HaKodesh, the water and the blood. And this Shabbat, we're going to do something a little different. We have my Achi, Yaakov ben Zayin Gaal, brought a Shabbat lesson in regards to water and its relationship in this witness and Yahushua HaMashiach, and it's good. This is good. I bless Yahuwah for this Achi. I bless Yahuwah for his discipline and his desire to be before Yahuwah on his face, trusting him and his word. So I'm going to encourage you to listen and allow the RUACH HaKodesh to speak to your hearts. So with that, I say, listen. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Enjoy my Achi. Be blessed.
There we go. All right. Hallelujah. All right. So, this is a word that really I'm learning it as speaking it, as he's using speaking, because it's a word of dominion and a word of dominance. And
Hallelujah.
I think I know it's something that I need. I know there are times when it's much easier to accept the struggle in an area rather than own the dominions. To own that I don't have to struggle. I actually have the power. It's in me.
Right.
Like the right. idea of the struggle is convenient, but it ain't the and that, and that doesn't necessarily mean like I'm not talking about like blatant sins and saying, oh, why can't I stop? I'm talking about even controlling of your time and your day and your finance, things like that. You actually have the complete control over these things, and it can feel like you don't, and it's easier to believe the feeling and the struggle of it than the walking the dominion. And see real change, see real productivity, especially in time, especially in understanding your 24 hours. But all right, so Most I was showing me how there's an understanding that is baptism serves a purpose. It serves a purpose that if that is hard for some to see, because one will believe that baptism is a new thing that only comes about with John. The first time baptism comes on the scene is with John, and therefore it has no Hebraic rooting. People like to align it sometimes Hellenistically, saying this is new. But the reality, but baptism isn't new. Baptism is far from new. And water serves a very specific purpose. And we're going to start looking at in Genesis, looking at the waters in the beginning, and be led to get a full understanding of water, of baptism, and of dominion, and exactly what Hamashiach was doing when he walked on the waters. So
hallelujah. This would have been a good. I hope Lance gets in. Because this would be good for Lance.
Yeah. And if he doesn't, I hope he takes the initiative to go watch it.
Right.
So, but so we're going to look at what happened in the beginning first, and take some time to look at some reference points to understand what's happening in these first in chapter 1 of Genesis. So
Man,
scripture says,
let me say something real quick to you.
hmm?
Listen, we ain't on no time frame.
Okay,
So,
okay.
you know, walk it down,
All
step
right.
in it like it's mud if you need to. It don't matter, you
Okay.
know, cause we be about this right here. So,
Yeah.
don't feel like you rushed or don't feel like, don't worry about my time. Don't get in none of that. Just do you.
All right.
Or actually do the
So
Ruach HaKodesh in you.
yeah, that's because I can't afford to be doing me no more. That
Yeah, do the Ruach HaKodesh in you.
in the beginning, Yahuwah Elohim created the heavens and the earth. And so a more accurate translation and the understanding of that will come, well, yeah, more accurate translation is in a beginning. And the reason why it's in
Right,
a
okay.
beginning is because you see from verse 2 through 7 that something had to already transpire to get to verse 2. Right. And
Right.
so, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Ruach Elohim, or the Ruach HaKodesh, moved upon the face of the water. So the Ruach of the Most High moved upon the face of the water, but darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the earth itself, in totality, was without form and void. So this is what we have called a creation, or what has been given to us as a creation story.
Right.
However,
Right.
this is actually a viewpoint of something that has gone array, and we can get an understanding of that in Jeremiah chapter 4. All right, so we're gonna. I got the free one that's so redacted. I be getting lost looking through it.
No thing.
Jeremiah 4, and starting off at verse 16. Um, it says, let's go back and start from the first one. If you will return, O Yashar, says Yahuwah, return unto me, and if you will put away your abominations out of my sight, then shall you not remove. So the chapter opens up with the Most High proclaiming that Yasharel returned, which means that they have gone away from him and they are operating fully in the abominations of the lands around them. And we know this narrative. We know what our forefathers have done.
Right.
And so he goes on to say, you shall swear Yahuwah lives in truth, in judgment, and in righteousness. And the nations shall bless themselves in him, and in him shall they glory. So this is a process. This is a process of order, right? And the Most High is declaring that is calling Yasharel back to repentance, calling them back to return to him, to put away their abominations, and to swear, to walk in an oath that they've already taken, to walk in an oath and to
Yeah.
proclaim that Yahuwah lives, that there is a El, and that a creator of all things, and he has a way. He has a way. So he's calling light back, right? And so
Mm.
he says, in truth, in judgment, and in righteousness. And then when Yasharel does this, the nation shall bless Yahuwah, and in Yahuwah shall they glory. The nations, the other nations. When Yasharel walks upright, we are a light. Hamashiach
Yes.
says, "No one takes
Yes.
a light and puts it under a bushel." So this is also referencing back to the promises that he gave to Avraham, which is that and your descendants will be a blessing to all nations. For thus says Yahuwah to the men of Yehudah and Jerusalem, break up your fallow ground and sow not among thorns. And so this is, you have both sticks here. You have Yashar and you have Yahudah. And we know that the idea that the Most High wasn't the idea that this isn't a heart issue or issue. This is a concern of the heart of man is pagan in itself. Is Christianity, to think that the Old Testament wasn't about that. It was about form and function, and not the Most High desiring a certain type of heart. But He is demanding here, and that the fallow ground of the heart be broken up, and that you sow not among thorns. And Yahusha said that the thorns are what? The cares of the world. And so here we know that the cares that He's saying, sow not among the cares of the world, the thing that you have been concerning yourself with the other nations in life that don't mean anything. Return to me. Circumcise yourselves to Yahuwah and take away the foreskins of your heart, ye men of Yahudah and inhabitants of Jerusalem, lest my fury come forth like fire and burn that none can quench it because of the evil of your doing. Declare ye in Yahudah and publish in Jerusalem and say, blow ye the shofar in the land. Cry, gather together and say, assemble yourselves and let us go into the defense cities. Set up the standard tower, Zion. Retire, stay not, for I will bring evil from the north and a great destruction. The lion is come up from his thicket, and the destroyer of the other nations is on his way. He is gone forth from his place to make your land desolate, and your cities shall be laid waste without an inhabitant. Now, this is interesting because He's sending the destroyer of the other nations, not someone that was called, not a weapon that was called to destroy Yahudah or Jerusalem. This is a weapon the Most High has designated to be the destroyer of the other nations. But He's coming because the sins of Jerusalem and the sins of Yashar have surpassed that of the other nations. For this, gird you with sackcloth, lament and howl, for the fierce anger of Yahuwah is not turned back from us. And it shall come to pass at that day, says Yahuwah, that the heart of the king shall perish, and the heart of the princes, and the priests shall be astonished, and the prophets shall wonder. Then said I, Adonai Yahuwah, surely you have greatly deceived this people in Jerusalem, saying, ye shall have peace, whereas the sword reaches onto the soul. At that time shall it be said to this people and to Jerusalem, a dry wind of the high places in the wilderness toward the daughter of my people, not to fan, nor to cleanse. Even a full wind from those places shall come unto me now. Come unto me. Now also I will give sentence against them. Behold, he shall come up as clouds, and his chariots shall be as a whirlwind. His horses are swifter than eagles. Woe unto us, for we are spoiled. O Jerusalem, wash your heart from wickedness, that you may be saved. How long shall your vain thoughts lodge within you? For a voice declares from Dan and publishes affliction from Mount Ephraim. Make ye mention to the nations, behold, publish against Jerusalem, that Nazarene come from a far country, and give out their voice against the cities of Yahudah. As keepers of a field are they against her round about, because she has been rebellious against me, says Yahuwah. Your way and your doings have procured these things onto you. This is your wickedness, because it is bitter, because it reaches onto your heart. My bowels, I am pained at my heart, at my very heart. My heart makes a noise in me. I cannot hold my peace, because you have heard, O my soul, the sound of the shofar, the alarm of war. Destruction upon destruction is cried, for the whole land is spoiled. Suddenly are my tents spoiled, and my curtains in a moment. How long shall I see the standard and hear the sound of the shofar? For my people are foolish. They have not known me. They are sottish children, and they have no understanding. They are wise to do evil, but to do good they have no knowledge. I beheld the earth, and lo, it was without form and void, and the heavens, and they had no light.
Yeah, I hear you.
So there is a condition. There is a condition. At this point, light had been put out because the children have refused to be a light. Because the
Right.
children, so the world in itself, when Paul says we know that Paul says that to all the nations there are none righteous, for all have fallen short of the glory of the Most High. He's speaking to nations, not to the individual, but to nations. And so as these nations have all chosen, which as you have taught and broke down in the teachings of atonement and of being blood sacrifices and blood drinkers, that there was a choice made by the sons of Noah to go into these things and to partake in them upon Noah's death, which meant that their descendants continued in those wicked practices. But yet there was a line through Shem that comes not through Shem, but through Shem, through Abraham, through Yitzhak to Yaakov, to the giving of the ToRaH that has always been the light.
AI.
The light now stands in a nation. The light now stands in a nation. A nation is to be a blessing, as Jeremiah 4 opens up. Swear, proclaim, swear that Yahuwah lives. Swear that that Yahuwah lives, which means that you're going to walk upright because you understand that there is an El, there is a Creator. You're going to be this light, and it'll be to the benefit of all nations. But when you're not that, when you've rejected the structure, when you've rejected what has already been set, you get to a earth that is without form and void. A earth that is without form and void, because those who have been called to be the light aren't being a light, which means that it's utter confusion upon the earth. Form and void.
AI.
Yeah.
AI. Say right. So I've watched this series, right? It's called Vikings, right? It's on I think it's on one or two or something, right? And I actually watched this series only because they talk about these people, right? In their native habitat. You're talking about Seer, you're talking about the Vikings, and you see them being blood drinkers. You see them sacrificing people and drinking their blood as a part of their offering of a sacrifice to their elves. And then you also see these Catholic, Jesuit tyrants that's pushing Christianity and Jesus, right? So it's interesting because it reveals, they show you what they did, right? Because you when you read it in scriptures, it's funny, they show you what they did, right? Secondly, right, as you were talking, I was thinking of the marine kingdom, right?
Yeah.
And that's something that I kind of want you to delve into eventually, but it has everything to do with the earth being without form and void, right? Because there was an existence, right, that was relegated to the marine kingdom, right? That was under the darkness in the waters, right? It's also how well, I'm not gonna go into it, but I think that's something that you should also look into and explore.
Oh yeah. I'm that's yeah. I'm with
That's
you.
gonna be good.
I'm with you on that one.
That's gonna be good. Because that again, this is all sevenfold doctrine of creation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We're gonna see some of it, like even in just these few verses, you're gonna see like from this beginning. From this beginning.
Right.
From this beginning. I mean, so you're gonna see that So because the word, so when you see the word void in this reference to being without form or void, it means to be empty, but it means to be under judgment.
Right.
And so the reason, so there's whenever the earth without is in a void, empty space, that means that it bears no life, and the lack of life is judgment. The law of sin and death means that with sin comes death. That in itself is a judgment. Now, the law of sin and death is not like the law of sin and death does not start with Adam. It starts with Adam for man.
Yes.
But it's a law that always existed.
Yes.
To rebel against the Most High produces death.
Yes.
That so
hence,
man.
There was always a Torah.
It was always a Torah.
There was always a Torah, even
Genesis
before it was
1
made.
proves it.
Right,
Genesis 1 proves it. So then, if so now we look at the word form. So now, I went too far back, but form. Formlessness, confusion,
yes,
emptiness, right? Vanity, and so desolation, right? Worthless. So that it had lost its value. It lost its purpose. It was in a state of confusion, right? And this is what happens in Jeremiah. The rebellion from ToRaH, to partake in these abominations allowed confusion to reign, and confusion is a judgment. The Most High confused the tongues in Babel. That was a judgment. And so we know that this has become a place under judgment. But it says that these things, that without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. Well, darkness, we're going to look at darkness real quick. And it means obscurity, but darkness figuratively means misery, destruction, death, ignorance, sorrow, wickedness, right? So this isn't a creation story from the sense that the Most High looked upon something that had nothing and started creating out of nothing. There was something that transpired, and it left something in a state.
Yes.
And so darkness, this wickedness, and this misery, this death was upon the deep. The deep is the abyss.
Judgment.
Because and you have to understand, so we're talking about waters, because it said that darkness was upon the deep, but it also says that, but the Ruach Elohim was upon the face of the water. Right? And so, upon the face of the water, and the King James says moved upon. So we look at, because you see there's a force to move upon something. It is a thing of it's an aggression. There's an aggression. There's a when you move on something, like the same way we use it. Now they'll tell you that it just meant that he hovered over, but this isn't a hovering over. This is a thing of dominions. He had dominion over the waters. It says to shake. It says to grow soft, relax, but that's not what is actually being referenced here. It's the shaking. It's a stance that the Most High is taking because he's about to do something. And it says that let me go back to the Sefer. It says and the Ruach Elohim moved upon the face of the water. So he moved. The word face means presence. When we look in Hebrew, so he moved upon the presence of the water. So even though that upon the presence of the abyss, it had been engulfed with darkness, right? It had rejected. There had been a rebellion. There had been a rejection, and now there was this state of confusion, this state of death and wickedness that was in the abyss. But upon the presence of all that, the Most High was moving, and when he moved, he spoke. And Yahuwah said, let there be light. Now, this isn't just the light of having the sun and the moon, but this is in reference to what John says in the Besorah of John. John says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with Aluah, and Aluah was the Word. The same was in the beginning with Yahuwah Aluah. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men, and the light shines in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. And so the word comprehend here means to not just to understand, but when you but to have a counter stance of dominion, meaning that it had the ability to move upon the light. It had no ability to move upon the light. It had no ability to do anything. So the light conquered the darkness. And so when you see the Most High in Genesis move upon the face of the waters and then speak, this is the reestablishing of order.
Yes.
He is bringing order back to order. He is reestablishing order, which means that in this beginning there was already an order. That order was rebelled against, and in that rebellion, it brought in death and confusion. It brought in judgment upon those who rebelled, and they were in the abyss. And the Most High moved against the abyss, and in moving against the face of the waters, he spoke light, and that light and the darkness could not comprehend that light, meaning that it had no power over the light that was spoken, and that light is the light of man. So this is referring to Yahusha in his dominions. This is why Hamashiach cries out, "Restore me to the glory I had before." Right. When in his prayer, he says, "Now, Father, restore me the glory I had before." Right. And so here is his dominions over the waters, but the waters here are talking about the things that are in a place of judgment, that are completely rebellious, that have rejected the Most High. They have rejected his calling to return. They have rejected his ToRaH. They have chosen to walk in a way that has brought them to a place of judgment, in a place of death, and they have brought confusion upon his creation, and he's reestablishing order, right?
And
Elohim's,
this is just in my head. Like when you look at the water, right? The water, I mean, the bottom is, it's almost like it's almost bottomless, but there's a bottom, right? But that there are certain things that exist on the bottom where actually the light does not reach, right? And the things that are on the bottom, because they drop them little probes down there, and you can't see nothing down there unless you got one of them little I don't know, these marine people have them where they could take pictures of the things that are on the deep.
Yeah.
Right? That are literally on the deep, right?
Yeah.
And how there were things that move and exist in darkness, right?
Yeah.
But can't thrive in the light, right? There's a certain species of fish and animals that exist in the water that operate with the light, right? But as you go down, right, into the deeper depths, right, you have these fish, actually they're almost, when you look at them, you be like, oh man, that's not a fish, right? Or
they be looking monstrous.
Right. Which would support why that kingdom is how can I say it? How that dominion, that kingdom there is separated from the upper waters of that deep, right? But you got if we looked at in relationship to the righteous judgment, right? That upper level of water, though it was, go ahead. Let me process that thought. I gotta process.
Listen, that's right. That's right on point. The verse 4. That's all of verse 4. And Yahuwah saw the light, that it was good, and Eluah divided the light from the darkness. That in itself is a judgment. The division of light and darkness means that light cannot be darkness and darkness cannot be light. They are divided. And so even in the waters, you have a cutoff point in the depths where there's no light that will penetrate this. That's a judgment. Those things are held in darkness. They are held captive in darkness. That in itself is a judgment. Right. And so now you have the divisions of so light and dark divides in the waters. It divides in the water.
Yes.
Right? And in that you have life and death. You always have deliverance, and whenever you have water, you have death and deliverance. At all, this is what is encapsulated in water and in the water in Scripture, right? And so, which is what we're going to move towards understanding. But you see it here is that he divided the light from the darkness. That is a judgment, a separation. Right. This is why it said, "Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who take bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter," because there's already you are mingling and bringing confusion where the Most High brought clarity.
Right. Okay.
Uncle Dash, righteous, unrighteous, light, dark.
Right.
There's no confusion.
Right.
And in this particular case, those who are in darkness, when this was divided. Those who were held in that darkness, their judgment is already set. There's a judgment right here.
Yes.
On those, or there's the judgment right here on the darkness that was upon the face of the deep. And Elohim and Yahuwah called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning was the first day. So you have light, dark, you have day, darkness, evening, morning. And it seems reversed, right? It's like, because it says he calls the light day and the darkness he called night, but then it starts with the evening. And the evening and the morning were the first day. Right. But I mean, it's I know we not to get caught up in the nuances of how a day is structured, because that's still a highly debated thing amongst us. Does a day start at evening? Does it start at or does it start at sunrise? Or but I think in this instance it's more so because darkness was there, that there was this confusion, and then came in the light, which caused the divisions and the judgment. And so I think what's more so important is that the first day structures order. It's the restoration of order, which comes with a judgment that has established the order. And Yahuwah said, "Let there be an expanse in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." So the waters were first. So you have the division of light and dark. But then you have the division of waters, and we know that this is the waters that are above the arets, and the waters that are beneath, that are on the face of the arets. And Yahuwah made the expanse and divided the waters which were under the expanse from the waters which were above the expanse, and it was so. And Yahuwah called the expanse the Shamayim, and the evening and the morning were the second day. And Yahuwah said, "Let the waters under the heavens be gathered together onto one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. So he divided the waters above, the waters below, and then he gathered those waters, and he held them in one place, and there was dry land. And on dry land, life, he moves forth with life, right? We see fruit begin to come because he calls he says, let the earth bring forth grass and herb yielding seed and the fruit tree, right? So he saw what he had done. He saw that the Most High saw the dry land. He saw the garden of waters, and he said, "This is good.
You know,
This is good."
What do you think about this, man? And I'm looking at this. He says, let there be an expanse in the midst of the waters, right? Because we understand that the waters that he's speaking of are the waters that he's writing righteousness over, right? And he's separating the good from the bad water, right? So it says, and let there be an expanse in the midst of the waters, and maybe not even so much so as the waters in the heavens, right? But the waters, period. Because from that expanse, because he says, and Elohim said, let there be an expanse in the midst of the waters, and let divide the waters from the waters, right? So
like that video, like the video when he hit the bottom of the ocean, he couldn't penetrate the water that was beneath anymore.
Right. See, so when you think about this, right? Because we've always thought, well, the waters. He's talking about the waters that are in the heavens, but in what, based on what you just brought forth, I'm saying to myself, okay, so Yahuwah made an expanse and divided the waters which were under the expanse from the waters, right? He had divided from the expansion of the waters. He divided the waters.
Two expanses. Oh, are you right? I missed it. Verse 7. It's two expanses.
Right. So it's under the expanse from the water, which was above the expanse, right? And it was so, and Elohim called an expanse of the heavens and the evenings and the days. But the idea is that Yahuwah separated the waters. It goes back to the bitter and the sweet, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you look at water, mixed water, certain animals can't thrive because you got the brackish water and you got seawater, salt water, and fresh water, right? But the idea is that there's a need for Yahuwah to separate because of the judgment. And he put that which is reserved for judgment at the bottom, right? After he had, when you consider him saying, okay, it's time now to bring the land, the earth, from the waters, right? He brought the earth from the waters, right? So he brought the earth from the waters of the expanse of the waters. So now you have the arets, you have the waters, and then you have the waters that are under the waters.
Yeah.
Right? And the waters that are under the waters are in darkness.
Yep.
So, yep. I'm looking at that and then like, okay.
Yeah. No, I know. As soon as you said it, I'm like, oh, the word expanse isn't being used to talk to one expanse. It's talking to several different expanses that are happening. It's in order being set up because of this judgment. Those being held in one place, then the waters, then the expanse that divides. It's these divisions. I'm okay, and so we see dominion, but the point is that there's a dominion. A dominion that is here that only belongs to the Most High, that only belongs to Yahuwah and to Yahusha, and that is what John is talking about when he said that the darkness could not comprehend the light, right? And we see here in that there's a judgment, and we see that we are called to have we are called to be this light. Like when we've been called to walk in this light, that was the purpose of ToRaH being given to the descendants of Abraham, and for the purpose of being a blessing to the rest of the nations. So I'm gonna jump over to the waters again and looking at the flood.
Yeah.
All right, so it's Genesis chapter 6 says, and it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of Elua saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them women of all which they chose. And Yahuwah said, my ruach should not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. There were Nephilim in the earth in those days, who also gathered afterward, when the sons of Yahuwah came in unto the daughters of men, and they bore children unto them. The same became warriors and tyrants, which were from everlasting, mortal men of the name. And Yahuwah saw the wickedness of man was great on the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And Yahuwah repented that he had made men on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And he says, and Yahuwah said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowl of the air, for I repent that I have made them.
Mm-hmm.
So looking back at this, we see we get more insight into the original judgment, that there was a time called everlasting.
Right.
Right. Okay. So the first thing is that I want to point out is that that there was a choice. He says, and Yahuwah said, my ruach shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh. Yet his days should be 120 years. The loss and the death comes through Adam, but man is called flesh here.
Right.
I'm about to come back to that particular designation. Why here? But the scripture said there was Nephilim in the earth in those days, who also gathered afterward the sons of Yahuwah Elohim. When the sons of Yahuwah Elohim came in unto the daughters of men, and they bore children unto them, the same became warriors and tyrants, which were from everlasting, mortal men of the name. So mortal men of the name, meaning that they definitely have an end. They're definitely set to have an end. But warriors and tyrants, which were from everlasting. So something transpired in the beginning. Before there was time, there was everlasting. Everlasting to everlasting is what scripture says about the reign of Yahuwah our Lord. And so in a time of everlasting, you had or in a pre-recorded set time that he has carved out in the midst of everlasting, the time of man, you have these warriors and tyrants,
right?
And you see them in name here, in name and attribute, but the actual ones, those are the ones that are reserved in darkness for judgment.
Right.
Yahuwah repented. He repented for creating man because of the conditions of the heart of men. Like we see in Jeremiah, that a large part of the earth being without void and form is that the hearts and minds have been completely conditioned to evil.
Right.
And so now we see what was once upon the face of the abyss is now upon the face of the earth.
Right.
Except for Noah. But Noah found grace in the eyes of Yahuwah. Right. And so we know that and he tells Noah in chapter 7, Yahuwah said unto Noah, come you and all your house in the ark, for you have I seen righteous before me in this generation. Of every clean beast you should take you by 7, the male and his female, and of every beast that are not clean by 2, the male and his female. And so right here, we get another understanding that there had to be a ToRaH. There had to already been a ToRaH.
Right.
Because there's already a separation of clean and unclean.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
You already have the Shabbat set in the in creation. The most he rested. He rested from his work, right? And he hallowed that day, right? And so now you see that you have clean and unclean animals. Then you see that men have wicked imagination, which means that if there is a standard for wickedness, there has to be a standard for righteousness.
Right.
Exactly. And so these things are already structured, and this is how you get the beginning. You get in this beginning because righteousness was rejected by not by man, but by another creation who had rebelled and rejected against ToRaH, against the order of the Most High, right? And so, and we get a further understanding. Huh?
I bet that's the Marine Kingdom.
I believe so. 100%.
That has to be the Marine Kingdom, right? Because it's almost as if what he did in water, right, and his creation became darkened, right? So he reestablishes man, right, on the erects, right? He pulls the earth from the erects. He pulls the erects from the waters, right? Or it has the waters to recede, revealing the erects, right? The earth, right? And then he takes that dirt and he forms man and he breathes into him, and man becomes a living RUACH. He becomes just like Yahuwah in the erects. That's why Yahuwah said to him, replenish and subdue, right? The erects, right? So it's almost like you're going to come to a place in time where you may be confronted with the Marine Kingdom, but you need to put the kibosh down, right? You need to be able to you and Hava walk in righteousness, establish a righteous nation of people before me, and because he gave Adam dominion over the earth and the waters, right? So
and
go ahead.
No. I'm gonna wait. I just get anxious, but I'm gonna wait.
Okay. Man, it's good. It's good. It's good. It's good.
What we'll say was that I wonder. I can't say that but I wonder the reason that that darkness was upon the abyss, but was the earth? Is this a second creation, right? Because he floods the earth, and technically the earth is back in the form that it was in the beginning, because the waters from above come down, the waters from beneath come up, and now you have the ark, which preserves the life of the righteous in that generation, right? There was a state, there was a creation that was in the state of man, and who were tyrants and wicked, right? It wasn't man, but that state had already existed, which led to the Genesis story of the creation of man. But I'm wondering, is it also the recreation of earth? Like, it's the creation of man, but it's the recreation of earth, because what was before was also judged in the same way that what is in Noah's time is judged, and the waters come about. The waters come about.
Right. So which would lead you to believe that it has occurred more than once.
It's occurred more than once.
So it's probably we going on the third time. This time, after he did it after Noah, he said, I ain't doing this no more.
I ain't doing this no more. Not in this manner. It's not happening like this.
I ain't doing this no more.
And he says, so he says, Noah went and his sons and his women and his sons' women with him into the ark because of the waters of the flood, right? Of clean beasts and of beasts that are not clean, of fowls, of everything that creeps upon the earth. Right.
And everything because, and everything because it all works synergistically. Everything that Yahuwah brought on the ark had a direct connection with what the Eretz needed in order to thrive universally, right? In order to function, because everything has its respective contribution to the Eretz. So, you know, even down to lizards. You know what I'm saying? Because when you think about it, everything has a contribution to the Eretz. And if it does not have a contribution to the Eretz, it wasn't allowed on the ark. It was destroyed.
It was destroyed.
Yeah.
It was destroyed. There was a remnant of all things that was brought into the ark. And it came to pass of the 7 days that the waters of the flood were upon the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep were broken up, and the windows of heaven were open, and the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. So it rained 40 days and 40 nights, but the earth flooded from beneath.
From beneath. Yeah.
Sprung up. The waters sprung up. That which was held sprung up and overtook the Eretz. Right. And so you see a cleansing. A cleansing of you see a baptism. And so in the beginning you see a baptism.
Yes.
Right. You see, and then here you see another baptism when the earth was baptized in waters. It went down into death, and out of that came life. Those in the ark were preserved. So as death came, judgment came. That judgment also raised the ark. And you know, remember Hezi said that at the he dropped that gem when we were down in North Carolina. He was like, when the judgment came, it raised the ark. Like
right. The judgment
so
came, raised the ark.
You see life come out of it. You see life come out of the immersion of water, because the ark rose, but the ark was immersed because the water is coming from both ways. There's no way that the ark escaped. The ark wasn't dry. It was dry inside, but it wasn't dry. It was the deluge of water that came from above hit the ark. It hit the ark, but the ark was preserved. And so you see a baptism, and you see not just life, but you see dominions, because it was preserved from death. And then in chapter 9, the Most High gives the authority of dominion to that which was preserved. He tells Noah, and Elohim blessed Noah and his sons, and said unto them the same thing he told unto Adam, the reestablishing of dominions: be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you should be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every fowl of the air, and upon all that moves upon the earth, and upon all the fish of the sea. Into your hand are they delivered. So now this is the reestablishing of everything in the beginning, the dominions being given to men, which the Most High doesn't plan in the moment. You know, all things are laid out to him. That's why he said that a day is 1,000 years, 1,000 years is one day, because he is not one constrained by time. He is the creator of the author of time, that he has carved out. But he doesn't carve it out in a manner where the authors of him says that calling those things that be, calling the end of those things in the beginning. And so he works backwards. He works from the end and brings it back to the beginning. Right. So there's nothing there's nothing he's missed. There's absolutely not one thing that's new to him, not one thing that catches him off guard, because he called its ends from its beginning, which means that he worked in a manner of bringing it all back to him. Right. And so the set dominion, the set dominance of man the righteous seed, the establishment of the righteous plant. Yahusha saying, I am the vine and ye are the branches, and my Father is the keeper of the vine. All this has all been set from the beginning,
Right.
from the beginning. Which you know, and I wonder, is that what caused the initial rebellion? Is that you had a creation, but then you had the plans for the image of Yah to be established in something that wasn't this particular creation.
Right.
And I wonder if that's what caused the. I'm not saying this is the most I.
Right.
This is my thoughts and my questionings of what led to the rebellion. But you see the reestablishing here of dominion and authority to Noah, and to understand, you'd have to go read Yashar and Jubilees to see that he came out of the ark and he gave an atonement.
Right.
He gave an atonement. He sacrificed unto the Most High for this deliverance and for this reestablishment. And if his sons, all of them, had held to his ways, that dominion would have never been lost.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
Never been lost.
Absolutely.
The law, yeah.
You're right. Absolutely right.
And so now the delusions, the waters have come down, and
the baptism of the earth.
The baptism that we don't necessarily see baptism in this light until John. But we do see, but there's a reason. There's a reason, and there's have to be we still see this structure of life and death though concerning water. So Exodus and
we can't present to Yahuwah unclean. Right? We can't present ourselves to Yahuwah unclean. Right? You can't dare. Abraham said, or was it Yaakov? I think it was Abraham said, listen, when you go to make a sacrifice, make sure you wash yourself first, right? Make sure you clean yourself first. Make sure you sanctify really yourself first, because you got you just like he did. You have to do that before you even present to him a sacrifice, right? Which means that before anything can be done, the priest had to do it. Yahusha's baptism was more of a baptism, right, of priesthood, because he really didn't have any sin. But he went in because he was the role model. I mean, he was the pattern of things, right? He told you all these things must be fulfilled. You can look at me and look, I can't baptize you, right? I can't cleanse you. I mean, what? He said, no, you have to, because of scripture.
fulfill all things. We got to fulfill it.
We got to fulfill all things. That's why Yahudah got to go home. That's why Yahudah got to go back to the continent. That's why we got to go back to our own land.
Yeah, it got to be fulfilled. We got to go.
We got to go. Got to be fulfilled. Man. It's beautiful, bro. It's beautiful. Actually, I'm right. I'm writing notes. I don't usually write notes, but
And
I don't
you
usually
know,
write. I do notes.
but we see the divisions come back into play. So divisions, the division of the waters shows a judgment. There was a judgment, in that it also shows that death. It shows death and deliverance. We see the light. We see the dividing of light and darkness, happen through the waters. The light in the beginning, light and darkness were divided. There's a judgment. Light cannot be dark. Dark cannot be light. The darkness cannot comprehend the light, which means that light will always conquer darkness. And in the waters, you see the divisions. They divided the expanses. He divided the expanses within the expanses, and then he divided the expanses, separating the ones above and the ones below.
Right.
But then you see Moshe, right? And you see Moshe stretch out his hand over the sea, and you see Yahuwah caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night, and made the sea dry land, and the waters were divided. And so you start to see the division of waters again for the purpose of the deliverance of the righteous seed. The deliverance of the righteous seed and the judgment of the unrighteous seed. Now, this particular Pharaoh, the most, like, it's bits and pieces. I think one of the best teachings I've seen on the Exodus actually comes at the hands of Walter Veith. When he breaks, because he's a historian, and as a historian, he actually he points out what was so important about this particular Pharaoh. Right. So this Pharaoh wasn't he wasn't Moshe's grandfather. He was the husband. He was the son of the husband of Moshe's adopted mother. His adopted mother was barren. Right. Pharaoh's daughter was barren. Moshe, so which means that Moshe, as her son, is actually next in line to be Pharaoh of Egypt.
Right.
And her husband has a son by a temple priestess or a temple harlot, one of them. But that son gets raised by the priest of Amen, the priest of Ra, right? And that son then comes into power. Like when Moshe dips for those 40 years, that son killed, his adopted mother wanted to get knocked off, she wanted to get killed, and the son of her husband comes into power. But what's important about this particular son is he was the most powerful Pharaoh, because he was not just Pharaoh, he was also a high priest. He was raised by the priesthood of Amen, and he penned the Book of the Dead.
Right. And those priests were the priests that Moshe, I think it was like, because he left Egypt when he was 19. He ran Egypt 19 and ended up being the king of Cush, right? So while he was the king of Cush, right, he was able to, by his favor of Yahuwah. See, and these are the things that you find in Yashar that they don't tell. Right, but it makes sense. He was the king of Cush, right? And the king of Cush, the original king of Cush, left to fight a battle, and these priests, these sorcerers, these magicians took over, right? Took over the kingdom. And when the nation returned after this battle, the king couldn't get back into the land, the castle, whatever it was he ran, right? So he can't get in, right? So he's like, look, let me in. But like, we can't let you in the order of these witches and these, right? So they had these spells, and they had these serpents, and every time they tried to get in, they were either killed by the water trying to get in, or they were killed by the serpents trying to get in, right? And it was Moshe that said, well, this is what we need to do. Have all the men that are part of us go and get what is it? Go get what's that bird? It's a bird, unclean bird. And get them and raise them and teach them how to hunt, right? And then he says, when they get a certain age, let me know. And then when they get to that age, what we gonna do is we ain't gonna feed them for 3 days. And then they're gonna go in and they're gonna kill the snakes, right?
Or the snakes, yeah.
And the priest ran and left, right? And they ran to Pharaoh. And they were the priests that Pharaoh had, that Moshe had comforted again at the hand. Oh man, this line upon line, this precept upon precept, man. Listen, if you have to understand that all of these things, all of these books work together. You got to understand. You got to hear a little there. You got to hear a little. You got to there a little. You know, you got everything. And what it does is it paints this picture. But I'm sorry, man. It just kind of popped into my head because
no. That's filling in the gaps because you know you have these priests that he had operating in the kingdom of Egypt, but you had a Pharaoh who was their high priest. He wasn't just any old Pharaoh. He had the Book of the Dead is still a book that, you know, a book of witchcraft, a book that people still indulge in. And so the Most High didn't just take down any old Pharaoh. He took down the Pharaoh. He showed his dominance over the nation. And he did it through the same division of waters and judgment that you see in the beginning, that you see in that you see even with Noah, because they came through the water, and then the water brought judgment upon the wicked. It the warriors, the chariots, the army of Pharaoh and Pharaoh himself. And then you see this division continuously take place. You see it again in Second Kings or first? Let me check, make sure. In Second Kings 2, right? Oh no, I'm getting ahead of myself. In Yahusha 2. Two or four.
Yeah, that's Jericho right there.
Yeah.
One in Jericho.
Okay, but yeah, on the way to they had to cross over on dry land.
Right.
Because Yahudah spoke to the priest, saying, "Take up the ark of the covenant and pass over for the people." And they took up the ark of the covenant and went before the people. He says, "You shall command the priests that bear the ark of the covenant, saying, when ye are come to the brink of the water of the Jordan, ye shall stand still in the Jordan." And Yahusha said unto the children of Yashar, "Come hither and hear the words of Yahuwah Elohim." And Yahusha said, "Hereby you shall know that the living Elohim is among you, and that he will without fail drive out from before you the Canaanim, and the Chittim, and the Chivaim, and the Perizim, and the Girgashim, and the Emarim, and the Uvesim." And so there's a theme. There's the first waters held another creation in judgment, and then in the dividing and in the dry land, you see the establishment of the RUACH and the dominion given to Adam. You see the waters come that were divided previously, flood the earth, and cleanse the earth. You see that the earth is then dried, and you see the dominion given to Noah. You see the floods. You see the waters destroy the order of the house of Pharaoh, which penned the book, which penned the almost like the anti-ToRaH You know, you had this,
Right,
this,
right,
this,
right,
this
right.
you know, and then you see the giving of ToRaH and the promises of dominion, giving unto the children of Yasharel, where the Most High, within the covenant, tells them that the fear of evil should be removed from them, and there's no when there is no wickedness and no sin, there is no fear of evil, and having that removed means that in faith you have dominion. And so you
Right.
see dominion established, and then you see the Most High telling them as they go forth on dry land, as He reduces the waters of the Yarden, that He's telling them, "I'm going to remove dominion. I'm going to give you dominion over this land that I have set aside for
Right.
the righteous seed. There'll
Uh-huh.
be dominion given." And so, with the division and the parting of waters, there's always the Most High giving dominion, right? The
Mm-hmm.
Most High coming in to fight the battles to establish. And you see it here in the establishment of a people, right? But the waters aren't divided here. The waters recede. And it says that the Most High set. It says uh behold, the ark of the covenant of the ADONI of all the passes over before you into the Yarden. Now therefore take you 12 men of the tribes of Yasharel out of every tribe of man. And it shall come to pass, as soon as the soles of the feet of the priests that bear the ark of Yahuwah, the Adonai of all the earth, shall rest in the waters of the Yarden, that the waters of the Yarden shall be cut off from the waters that come down from above, and they shall stand upon a heap. So He stood the waters up again. There is a division.
Right.
The waters are divided and standing up. And it says, and it came to pass when the people removed from their tents to pass over the Yarden, and the priests bearing the ark of the covenant before the people, and as they that bore the ark were come into the Yarden, and the feet of the priests that bore the ark were dipped in the brim of the water, for the Yarden overflows all his banks all the time of harvest, that the waters which came down from above stood and rose up upon a heap very far from the city Adam, that is beside Sarathin, and those that came down towards the sea of the plain, even the salt sea, fell and were cut off, and the people passed over right against Jericho. And the priests that bore the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah stood firm on dry ground in the midst of the Yarden, and all Yasharel passed over on dry ground until all the people were passed clean over the Yarden. So the waters were still yet divided here. And now you see the ark.
Mm-hmm.
You see the ark, the same way that Noah was in the ark and given dominion. You see the ark of the covenant that was with the children of Yasharel being the division of the water. The division of water is a sign of dominion.
Right.
It's a sign of judgment. It's a sign of dividing between righteousness and unrighteousness. I think with Eliyahu though, it and then you see it again with Eliyahu. It says so this is when Eliyahu is it's his time to depart, and he says and the sons of the prophets that were at Jericho came to Elisha and said unto him, know you that Yahuwah will take away your Adonai from your head today? And he answered, yea, I know it. Hold ye your peace. And Eliyahu said unto him, tarry, I pray you here, for Yahuwah has sent me to the Yarden. And he said, as Yahuwah lives, and as your soul lives, I will not leave you. And they two went on. And 50 men of the sons of the prophets went and stood to view afar off, and they two stood by the Yarden. And Eliyahu took his mantle and wrapped it together and smote the waters, and they were divided hither and thither, so that the two went over on dry ground. And it came to pass when they were going over that Eliyahu said to Elisha, ask what I shall do for you before I be taken away from you. And Elisha said, I pray you, let a double portion of your ruach be upon me. So once again, you see a dividing of the waters, in the establishing of dominion.
Right.
Elisha is asking for this. He is asking to operate in the mantle, in the
Right.
ruach that Elisha, but in a double portion of that ruach. And then we see and Elisha saw it. So Eliyahu tells me, if you see me depart, then know that I can't grant this, but Yahuwah will grant this. If you see me depart, you like what your request has been granted. And it says, and it came to pass as they still went on and talked, that behold, there appeared a chariot of fire and horses of fire, and parted them both asunder. And Eliyahu went up by a whirlwind into the Shamayim, and Elisha saw it, and he cried, my father, the chariot of Yashar and the horsemen thereof. Go, 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 go. What's up?
No, I ain't got, no, listen, I ain't got nothing to say. I'm just here thinking about how, you know, here you have a senior prophet and a junior prophet, right? And the junior prophet wants a double portion of the senior prophet's anointing, you know, and he says, look, I can get that to you, but, you know, if you see me, you know, and then he split by a chariot that's on fire.
That's
and he gets
right
up in this chariot. Listen, man, that is just like so. Oh man, listen. I mean, that's just a whole nother level.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it was a whole nother level, bro. Listen. Here is this prophet wanting a double portion of another prophet's anointing, and walking along with this prophet as he goes on dry ground across the Jordan. This is just so next level that he was able to see this chariot that he got on and watch him take off. I mean, that's just like when I hear, you know, listen, you read stuff all the time, but then there's sometimes when you read it and it strikes you.
And it just,
Oh, man, our forefathers, man, our ancestors, man, you know, we got our people on the continent talking about RUACH'S of their ancestors, but listen, there's only one RUACH, and that's the RUACH HaKodesh, your ancestor, Elijah will tell you by the book what happens. Oh, man. Go ahead, I'm sorry, man. I just touched you.
And Elisha saw it, and he cried, my father, the chariot of Yashar and the horsemen thereof. And he saw him no more, and he took hold of his own clothes and rent them in two pieces. So the chariot and the horsemen are positions of authority and dominance.
Right.
You know, and back in those days, you ain't just go up against an army if they had horsemen and chariots and you was on foot. Right. You held your peace. You stood back and was like, yeah, well, they got 9,000 chariots. What we gonna do with that? Right? Like, and so you see him Eliyahu is an authority. He has a dominance, and he has a dominion given by the Ruach HaKodesh. And Elisha rents his own clothes, and he took a hold of his own clothes and rent them in two pieces, which means that he is removing his role from him. He's removing his position because he couldn't walk in both, but he removes his position and he picks up the mantle of Eliyahu. So he picks up the mantle also means the glory. He picks up, so it's not just his cloak, but it's the authority that Eliyahu walked in. And he took and stood by the bank of the Yarden, and he took the mantle of Eliyahu that fell from him and smote the waters and said, where is Yahuwah Elohai of Eliyahu? And when he also had smitten the waters, they parted hither and thither, and Elisha went over. And so you have the establishment once so he had a request, and the fulfillment of the request is seen in the parting of the waters, that he has established the dominion, the the authority and the dominion that was in Eliyahu, and that the Most High established it in Elisha. And there was a, I don't know
And
why I can't
those
find it now.
waters, let me say this too, those waters receded because of righteousness. They opened up and they receded according to righteousness.
Yeah.
Noah got on the ark, and the ark receded to demonstrate Yahuwah's righteousness, right?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing to see and recognize how righteous Yahuwah is and how he shows you judgment, but he also shows you what comes as a result of righteousness. You can pass through on dry ground, right? And then after you pass through, listen, I'm gonna close it up, right? Because ain't everybody gonna do this. Ain't everybody gonna make it. Everybody ain't gonna make it.
And the water in itself is it's a subjugation, right? There, like he gave dominion, but to others comes subjugation. Whatever is in that water, you are subject to it.
Right.
Outside of the Most High, which is like when Paul was caught in the what is it called? The what's the name of that storm he got caught in? The
Arachladon.
Arachladon. He was caught in the Arachladon. That's to those on that boat. Had it not been for Paul, that boat would have been destroyed. And then even in the destruction of the boat, the securing of life on the open sea only comes about by righteousness. Only comes about by the authority given to him in the mercy of the Most High. This whole journey came out of his disobedience, but you see the Most High, and you see YAHUSHA come to him and grant him mercy, and Paul just being obedient from that point forward. You have a deliverance of people, but they were subject to whatever was presented. And so this is why, like, when you get like all the myth, it's a reason why all the what they call myths and mystical stories, the majority of them is on the sea.
Right.
The majority is on the sea. It's a reason for that.
Right.
It's a reason for what dominion. It's a reason why the disciples, when YAHUSHA was walking on the water, thought they saw an evil ruach. They're like there were the waters, or they knew, right? And so.
Right. And that's why with these other nations, everything has to do with, most of it has to do with maritime law.
Yep.
Which is seaworthy law. So it's not the law of ToRaH, right? But it's maritime law. When you go into a courtroom, you're dealing in maritime law.
Maritime law.
You're not dealing in ToRaH law, right? So, it begins to reveal itself. It's like this unfolding of doctrine, right, of creation, right, and how you begin to understand the connection, right, that exists, that Yahuwah needs you to understand when you're moving into the kingdom, because you need to understand this going into the kingdom, right? You need to understand this in order to take the sword of righteousness to hand out justice and judgment to the sinners and the wicked, right? I mean, that's it makes sense. But you only getting this in the Ruach HaKodesh, man. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
It ain't coming. You ain't getting this any other way. This is Ruach right here, man. This is Ruach. This is good, bro. This is good.
I thought it was here, but I'm gonna have to go back and find it. But I know in one of these times when they divided the waters, it says that Yahuwah set the waters weren't just divided, but that Yahuwah set. He was present and he set, and that's what forced the water to divide. That he set in the waters, and that's what moved the water. I thought it was with Eliyahu, but I'll find it. But then looking at John. All right, so I'm just gonna start with John, because all of these incidences of dominion and division and judgment and cleansing all point to Hamashiach.
Right.
They all come to this point. They start with Hamashiach. They start with the word. They start with the word being given, and let there be light is a judgment. Let there be light is a judgment, and it's a state.
Right.
So it's a constant. To be is a constant. And that means that judgment will always be. There will always be light that conquers the darkness. Darkness will not comprehend it, and there will always be a division. You cannot do away with that. And that division, that which conquers is Yahusha. So when John says, in the beginning was the word, and the word was with Elohim, and Elohim was the word, the same was in the beginning with Yahuwah our Lord. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. There was a man sent from Yahuwah, whose name was Yehukanan. The same came for a witness, to bear witness of the light, that all men through him might believe. He was not that light, but was sent to bear witness of that light. That was the true light, which lights every man that comes into the world. He was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not. So you said something super interesting. You talked about maritime law, and how you step into these courts, into these judgments, you have maritime law. So we need to deciphering right now what the word world means.
Right.
When he talks about the world and about the light, he is talking about the world that the light creates.
Right.
The righteousness that the light creates. He created, yes, he created all things, even those things held onto the, like Paul says, vessels of destruction, he created those too. Those held in wait for destruction, he created those too. But when we're talking about the world that he created, we're talking about the world of light, that which is righteous. And he came to that world. He came to the righteous seed. This is where he first, because he come to the righteous seed, and the righteous seed knew him not, and they received him not. Right. It wasn't that the world rejected him. The world had no idea who he was. They wasn't looking for him. They didn't have no clue about him. They had their own gods. The world he created was these 12. He created this people. Yeah. I selected this seed, and he coming. So he's talking about a very specific world, and Yahuwah so loved that world that he gave his only begotten son. Right. That whomsoever in that world should believe in him should have everlasting life, right? And have the right to be the sons of Yahuwah. Now that world isn't cut off from anybody else, but he ain't come for no other world. Right. You got to come into that world. You got to walk out of the world you in and into that world in order to even be considered. Absolutely. You know what I mean? So. Absolutely. And it says, but as many as received him, to them gave he power, dominion, power to become the sons of Yahuwah, even to them that believe on his name, which were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of Yahuwah our Lord. And the word was made flesh and tabernacled among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as of the Yakid of the Father, full of grace and truth. Yahudah bore witness of him and cried, saying, this was he of whom I spoke. He that comes after me is preferred before me, for he was before me. And of his fullness have all we received, and grace for grace. So, for the law was given through Moshe, grace and truth came by Yahusha HaMashiach. No man has seen Yahuwah at any time. The Yakid, which is in the bosom of the Father, he has declared him. And so there's language that we've touched on in the past. Yahusha says that out of the abundance of the heart, so a man speaks. So we also know that the word said, let us make man in our image and in our likeness. And so what is spoken is first a thought, and what is a thought is held here in the heart.
Right.
Now, when we think in time, you think, okay, at a time I thought something, at another time I spoke it, at another time it has a manifestation, right? So for righteousness to righteousness, from wickedness to wickedness.
Right.
But Yahuwah isn't bound by time.
Right.
We see judgment upon the warriors and tyrants that were from everlasting. Everlasting is another thing, and David proclaims that he reigns from everlasting to everlasting. That from one end of everlasting to the other everlasting, the Most High reigns. So in everlasting, in his bosom, out of his heart, he speaks.
Right.
And what he speaks is Yahusha. Yahusha is the word. And the reason why he has no beginning, because in order to have a beginning, we're dealing with time now.
Right. You would have to have time. Right.
So there's no beginning to him because he's from everlasting.
Right.
You can't attach a beginning to that.
Right.
And this is the record of Yahudah when the Yahudim sent priests and Levayim from Jerusalem to ask him, who are you? And he confessed and denied not, but confessed, I am not Hamashiach. And they asked him, what then? Are you Eliyahu? And he said, I am not. Are you that prophet? And he answered, no. Then said they unto him, who are you? And we may give an answer to them that sent us. What say you of yourself? This is so interesting. I'm seeing this in a brand new way, man, because the Yahudim sent priests and Levayim, right?
And Levite.
And yeah, like who these priests? Who these priests, right? Just like and Edomites. You got these, it's so out of order. It's so out of order where Paul is Benjamin, like, yeah. So out of order, man. So much confusion, void and without form, man. Here he come, right? And so we have the conditions, but this also speaks to the conditions, right? When judgment first comes in a beginning, and this is why John starts off, because we back in that this is a time that is reflective of the beginning, when the earth is without void or form. There's no order here. There's no order. There is simply confusion where you have priests and Levayim being sent by the Yahudim. When you have where the king of Jerusalem is an Edomite named Herod. So you have no order. We are without in a space of without form, with no form and void. And the Most High speaks, let there be light. And Yahusha once again steps on the scene and divides the light from the darkness and sets order once again, right? And so this is when you get, this encapsulates all of the aspects that we've read through, all of the dominion and the judgments that we've read through. So John is baptizing at this point. And what is John? John is baptizing in repentance, which means that people have to go down into this water and come out of this water. You have to go down as a sign of dying.
Right.
You have to go down the sign of subjugating yourself to a death and with the trust, the faith, and the hope of being brought back up in life.
Right.
They're doing it onto repentance, and they're doing it onto sanctification. They don't have the authority yet to do it onto redemption.
Right.
Right. But onto repentance, onto sanctification, there is this immersion happening. Because you have one, he said, I am the voice of one crying in the wilderness, make straight the way of Yahuwah, as said the prophet Yashar. So in order for there to be light, you have the crying out of making straight the way, because the way has been so perverted.
Mm-hmm.
The way has been so perverted. And so you send one who has understanding of the Torah. Why John? Well, John's parents, and that's in Luke. Let's look at why John.
Hey, Yahusha moved upon the face of the deep.
Yahusha moved upon the face of the deep. Yahusha moved upon the face of the deep.
Yahusha was the light beat. He was that same word. Achi,
so,
this is good, man. It's good. Achi, this is good.
So in Luke 1, it says, for as much as many have taken in hand to set forth in order a declaration of those things which are most surely believed amongst us, even as they delivered them unto us, which from the beginning were eyewitnesses and ministers of the word. It seemed good to me also, having had perfect understanding of all things from the very first, to write unto you in order, most excellent Theophilus, that you might know the certainty of those things wherein you have been instructed. There was in the days of Herod the king. Once again, here we go. This is why the land was without form and void. There was in the days of Herod the king of Yahudah. The king of Yahudah, like complete confusion, right?
Right.
But in the midst of that, you have
King Esau,
a certain priest named ZechariAH of the course of Avayahu, and his woman was the daughter of Aharon, and her name was Elisheva. So you have the descendants, the righteous seed, right? You have the descendants, the only true descendants. Like you got all these wild priests, but here you still have Aaron's descendants holding, right, and walking upright. And they were both righteous before Elohim, walking in all the commandments and ordinances of Yahuwah, blameless. And they had no child, because that Elisheva was barren, and they were both now well stricken in years. And so when you read in Yashar, it's in Yashar, right, where the Most High shows that the righteous were given rest before he declared judgment. So you see Methuselah and all of Noah, the patriarchs from Adam to Noah, like all those patriarchs were given rest, and then at that point, judgment comes, right? So you also see the end. You see, for the most part, like the descendants of Aaron, the righteous descendants of Aaron. You know, from these two righteous descendants, you get John the Baptist. You get this child, this child of mercy, this child, this gift of a child. But they're well stricken in years. They weren't set to be here anymore, which means that the order was over. The order was over. Right? You're gonna see the fulfillment of that. John is in the wilderness for a reason. John is the high priest. John is the only true high priest. Right. John is in the wilderness, and you see the transition from him. And so now, when you go back to John, and we see the baptism of Mashiach. This is you see the mantle transition. The same way you see Eliyahu and Elisha, and it's not in that particular order, but it's not to say it's not that. It's not that, but it is in the same manner where there's this there's transference,
right?
And this transference of priesthood, the establishment of the greater priesthood on earth. Right? And John says, you
aren't you? Are you that Mashiach? Are you that man? Are you Eliyahu? Are you that man? You know,
are you that man?
You that man? Well, if you ain't him, you ain't him, and you doing these things because we know who your mom and your father is, right? Who are you?
Who are you? Who are you?
Yeah, they sent the priest, the imposter priest. They sent
the imposter priest from the priest of Herod, the king of Yahudah, and the Levites.
Oh man, because the priesthood was coming to a close and a new order was about to be
being established. Yahudah answered them, saying, I baptize with water, but there stands one among you whom ye know not. He it is who coming after me is preferred before me, whose shoes latchet I am not worthy to unloose. These things were done in Bet Avara, beyond the Yarden. So right here, the dividing of the Yarden. We see it's at the Yarden, where Yahudah was baptizing. The next day, Yahudah sees Yahusha coming onto him, and he says, "Behold, the lamb of Elua, which takes away the sin of the world. This is he of whom I said, after me comes a man which is preferred before me, for he was before me, and I knew him not, but that he should be manifest to Yashar. Wherefore am I come baptizing with water?" And Yahudah bore record, saying, I saw the Ruach descending from heaven like a dove, and it abode upon him, the mantle. When Eliyahu got up into the chariot, his mantle fell onto the banks of the Yarden, right? And so here we are at the Yarden, and Yahudah sees the fullness, the full mantle, the fullness of the Ruach HaKodesh descending upon descending upon Hamashiach, like a dove, and it abode upon him. It made its home.
Yes.
It's made it home. It made its home. And I knew him not, but he that sent me to baptize with water, the same said unto me, upon whom you shall see the Ruach descending and remaining on him, the same is he which baptizes with the Ruach HaKodesh. And I saw and bore record that this is the son of Yahuwah.
Oh man, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Where I'm looking for the baptism though.
Three. What?
Three. Yep.
What do you mean? Yahusha's baptism?
Yahusha's baptism. Three.
No, it's the third. It's the first chapter.
It is.
Yeah, Yahusha's baptism. Yeah, it's the first chapter. Yahudah. It's a hope. Go up. He says, here it is. You looking for where it speaks of Yahusha's baptism.
Yeah.
He says in 33, I know. I think that's in Luke. That might be in Luke.
I think. Oh, is it Luke or Mark? I think it might be
Luke or Mark. It's Luke or Mark.
Luke or Mark, right?
Right.
Mark. Okay, yeah. And Mark says, and Yahudah will clothe with camel's hair with a belt of skin about his loins, and he did eat of the locusts and wild honey, and preached, saying, there comes one mightier than I after me, the latchet of whose shoes I am not worthy to stoop down and unloose. I indeed have baptized you with water, but he shall baptize you with the Ruach HaKodesh. And it came to pass in those days that Yahusha came from Nazareth of Galilee and was baptized by Yahuchanan in the Yarden. And straightway coming up out of the water, he saw the heavens opened and the ruach like a dove descending upon him. And there came a voice from heaven saying, "You are my Yachid, in whom I am well pleased." And immediately the ruach drives him into the wilderness, right? And so, and he was there in the and he was there in the wilderness 40 days, tempted of Hasatan, and was with the wild beasts, and the angels ministered unto him. So now, okay, that's the short version. It is Luke 2.
Oh, right there. Right there. Take us in at 21, then the Ruach descended upon him like a dove. There above, here to Tetrarch.
Maybe it's Matthew.
Maybe it is. I thought it might have been Luke.
I thought it was Luke too, because Luke really talks about no, I think it's Matthew.
Yeah, it'd be in there where you at right there though. Actually, to apply root to the tree. Yeah, baptized. Oh,
I love the book. I love Mattathayu. This is my book, man.
You know,
I'm telling you, man.
my book is Yahudah. I love Matthew too, man. My book is Yahudah.
Yeah. And we're okay. So start with. And the same Yahuchanan had his remnant of camels here, and a leathern belt about his loins, and his food was of the locust and wild honey. Then went out to him Jerusalem and all Yahud and all the region around about the Yarden, and were baptized of him in the Yarden, confessing their sins. But when he saw many of the Perishim and Sadakim come to his baptism, he said unto them, O offspring of vipers, who has warned you to flee from the wrath to come? Bring forth therefore fruits meet for repentance, and think not to say within yourselves, we have Abraham to our father. For I say unto you that Yahuwah was able to these stones to raise up children unto Abraham. And now also the axe is laid onto the root of the tree. Therefore every tree which brings not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire, which just once again reinforces the fact that this is a time of judgment.
Right.
That there is going to be light is going to be shown that will separate the light from the darkness. And he's speaking of Yahusha, and then it says, I indeed baptize you with water unto repentance, but he that cometh to me is mightier than I, whose shoes I am not worthy to bear. He shall baptize you with the RUACH HaKodesh with fire, whose fan is in his hand, and he will thoroughly purge his floor and gather his wheat into the garner, but he will burn up the shaft with unquenchable fire. Then came Yahusha from Galilee to the Yarden unto Yahuchanan to be baptized of him. But Yahuchanan forbade him, saying, I have need to be baptized of you, and come you to me. He want Yahuchanan know nothing. No, I need that rockle baptism. What are you talking about? I need that. Man, listen, I got some water, but you got that fire from the Shamayim. I need that. I need that ruach. And Yahusha answering said unto him, suffer it to be so now, for thus it becomes us to fulfill all righteousness. Then he suffered him. And Yahusha, when he was baptized, went up straightway out of the water, and lo, the heavens were opened unto him, and he saw the Ruach Elohim descending like a dove and lighting upon him. And lo, a voice from heaven saying, This is my Yachid, in whom I am well pleased. And so with the RUACH, the baptism, you have the order once again being structured to where dominion so much that Hasatan had to go test the dominion.
Right.
He had to go test it. Like, did I lose this fast? What just happened? He had to go assess. Dang, yo, I can do the bow to me. What can I do, right? And so it says, then what was Yahusha led up of the RUACH into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil, and when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was afterward hungry. And when the tempter came to him, he said, "If you be the son of Yahuwah, command these stones be made bread." But he answered and said, "It is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yahuwah." Then the devil took him up into the holy city and set him on a pinnacle of the temple. And he said unto him, "If you be the son of Elohim, cast yourself down, for it is written, he shall give his angels charge concerning you, and in their hands they shall bear you up, lest at any time you dash your foot against a stone." Yahushua said unto him, "It is written again, you should not tempt Yahuwah Eloheka." You ain't got command over this word. I'm the word.
Right.
What you talking about right now?
Right.
Again, the devil took him up into the exceeding high mountain and showed him all the kings of the world and the glory of them, and said unto him, "All these things will I give you, if you will fall down and worship me." Then said Yahushua unto him, "Get you hence, Hasatan, for it is written, you shall worship Yahuwah Eloheka, and him only shall you serve." And the devil left him, and beheld, angels came and ministered unto him. And so so now here's the part that I just realized. Why did Hasatan leave?
Because darkness couldn't comprehend him.
He left because he was told to leave.
Right. Okay. I feel you. He had to recognize, he had to acknowledge the dominion. And the righteous dominion. Right? Right. Okay, because he told him to.
Yahusha didn't have to ever entertain him. He flexed on him.
Right.
He flexed on him. All right, we're gonna have this conversation the same way that he was able to go before the throne and when the sons of Yahuwah were reported, and he was asked, "Have you what you think about?" He's like, it's so ill. Like I just have the Most High present Job to Hasatan, because he know that he done perverted the Edomites. He done perverted the whole entire seed of Esau. But he go, "What about Job?" What you think about my servant Job, though, huh? And then he just say, "Yeah, but you blessed him. Let me have a go at him.
You got a hand around him. I can't get to him.
Can't get to him. Let me have a go at him, right?" So here you see him coming to Hamashiach, until Hamashiach said, "Get away from me, yo.
Yeah.
Get away from me. I've had enough of entertaining you. Get away from me." Like and he had to go. He didn't flee because he answered three. Like, this ain't the Wizard of Oz where you get 3 answers right and then you proceed to the next level. Nah, he had dominion already. He had the fullness of the Ruach HaKodesh.
Fullness of the Ruach HaKodesh. He was trying to get Yahusha something he didn't have. The Yahusha had already had.
And when Yahusha was tired of dealing with him, he said, he told him to get away from him. He had to go.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's good.
And so now I gotta find. So now dominion is, you see the structure of dominion, right? The structure of dominion is set up where Yahushua has dominion unlike anyone before him. Even though the word comes to Adam and the word comes to Noah, that all things will obey them. All things in the sea, all things on land, they have dominion, they will obey them. They are image bearers of righteousness. But here's righteousness.
Right, personified, right.
Image bearers of righteousness, what man is to be, but here is righteousness.
Right.
And in that, this is the light.
Right.
That has set the structure. This is the light that shunned into the darkness. He went into the darkness and bust everything up.
Yeah. Right, right.
Bust
Right.
everything up. He came in. It said that all things in this world were created by him because he came in and established righteousness.
Right,
He
right,
came in,
right.
I am righteousness. And he came in and boom, from in the beginning. And the Ruach was upon the face of the deep. The Ruach moved, and in its move, the Most High spoke a word, and that word was Yahusha. And Yahusha, the righteousness, came in and bust everything down. Light, darkness, light, because he always, but in speaking the word, you understand, we're dealing with everlasting things. He always was. He was in the bosom of the Most High.
Right, right.
So he didn't come into existence at the speaking of the word, because every word that is spoke is first in the heart is in the heart. This is why John said that he was kept. He was in the bosom of the Most High. He always was.
Yes, yes.
And so when he comes to walk, where is that? Now I gotta find. I think this is in Matthew 2. Walks on. What chapter is that? I'm in the wrong chapter. $14. All right. Let me start up. So John the Yahudah is beheaded in Matthew 14. And his Talmudim came and took up the body and buried it and went and told Yahusha. And when Yahusha heard of it, he departed thence by ship into a desert place apart. And when the people had heard thereof, they followed him on foot out of the cities. And Yahusha went forth and saw a great multitude and was moved with compassion toward them, and he healed their sick. And when it was evening, his Talmudim came to him, saying, "This is a desert place, and the time is now past. Send the multitude away, that they may go into the villages and buy themselves food." Well, Yahushua said unto them, "They need not depart. Give you them to eat." And they say unto him, "We have here but 5 loaves and 2 fish." He said, "Bring them hither to me." And he commanded the multitude to sit down on the grass, and took the 5 loaves and the 2 fish. And looking up to heaven, he blessed and broke, and gave the loaves of his Talmudim and the Talmudim to the multitude. And they did all eat and were filled. And they took up of the fragments that remained 12 baskets full. And they that had eaten were about 5,000 men, beside women and children. So we're talking maybe, first of all, we're talking possibly, 12,000, 13,000 people.
Maybe, right? Probably
maybe,
that.
right? Possibly. And he healed all their sick.
Yeah.
He healed all their sick. And then, Elisha was a special prophet, where when it was Elisha, where the man brought him the offering of first fruits, and he was like, "Feed the people." He's like, "Man, there's 100 people here. I'm gonna feed this little bit of food." He's gonna feed the people, and they took up baskets, right? But here you see the fullness, you see righteousness, you see the fullness of the Ruach HaKodesh operating, and you see possibly over 10,000 people being fed off of five loaves of bread and 2 fish.
And he's the perfect example of the Ruach without measure.
Yeah.
What we have is a measure, and the measure we have is just enough to get the job done.
That's enough to get the job done, right? Just enough to get the job done, man.
And it's more than everybody else who don't have it.
Who don't have they ain't got a clue. Like Hezi say it on that song Lost Sheep. that song's so powerful, man. That new song, but he say what he say? He say and in my mention I want all nations. If anybody's sick, I want all patients. If I'm the finish line, I want all races. Right? Like is right, yeah. Like man, he the fullness of it. Like what we know is that at that finish line, we going as he is, so shall we be.
Yes,
like,
absolutely. You know, that's a testament to you. This is a testament to Yahudah too, because you know there's no indication that Yahudah ever had the Ruach of Yahuwah. I mean, there's no record that Yahudah had the Ruach HaKodesh. Yahudah just had obedience, just like his father and his mother, right?
Mm-hmm.
He kept ToRaH, right?
Mm-hmm.
He obeyed ToRaH. You know, he kept under the covenant up until the point that he was with Herod and got his head chopped off. You know what I'm saying? Yep. I mean, he was greater than all of them, right? By virtue of his position and what he was called to do, to be that voice of one crying in the wilderness, telling everybody to come. And then they say, here, behold Yahudah, or behold YAHUSHA. This is the Lamb of Yahuwah. He's the one that taketh away the sins of the world. This is whom he has spoken that will come. And this is what he is going to baptize with the Ruach HaKodesh, right? And after he finished his mission, he was in prison. They got his head chopped off. There's no indication. I mean, that's why, you know, there's a righteousness in ToRaH, right, through obedience that can cover your sins.
Yeah, it took faith. It took faith. You had to believe. It took faith.
There was a righteousness in ToRaH. I mean, even before Hamashiach, an atonement, right? Yeah. That you could achieve, right, in obedience, right, and in belief. You know, like, don't be like your forefathers. Keep ToRaH. Make sure you be under atonement. Do your feast. But you know, once Yahushua came on the scene, it was over. You got to come. You got to come by water, right? You got to come by the water, right? So, water, blood in the Ruach HaKodesh. Listen, this is beautiful, bro. It's good, man. It's good. It's good.
And straightway Yahushua constrained his Talmudim to get into a ship and to go before him onto the other side while he sent the multitude away. And when he had sent the multitudes away, he went up into a mountain apart to pray. And when the evening was come, he was there alone. But the ship was now in the midst of the sea, caught in a rockladon. They was tossed with waves, for the wind was contrary. They was done. They was powerless, subject to the sea. And in the fourth watch of the night, which is the last watch, watch of the night, the fourth watch of the night, it is also the darkest time.
Right.
It is darkest before the dawn. It is the darkest time of night.
Yes.
So you have darkness, you got water, and here come the light. You got wind, you got earth, and you got the righteous sea lost on it.
Right.
And then the Yahushua went onto them walking on the sea. Walking on the sea. This is something complete. There was no need to divide. Right. There was no need to divide the waters because I have full dominion. They are subject to me to even make itself as dry land to me. I have complete dominion. I can press my will upon this. Yeah. It will never comprehend me.
Yeah.
It will never comprehend Yahushua.
That's beautiful, man.
And when the Talmudim saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying it's a ruach, and they cried out for fear. So, because they're not without knowledge of what this is,
right?
What this,
exactly.
What is here,
right? What's in the water?
sea.
Right.
And they cried out for fear, but straightway Yahusha spoke to them, saying, "Be of good cheer, it is I. Be not afraid. Be not afraid." In the covenant, the promise, the removal of all fear of evil. Be not afraid. And Kepha answered him and said, "Adonai, if it be you, bid me come unto you on the water." And he said, "Come." And when Kepha was come out of the ship, he walked on the water to go to Yahusha. This is the foreshadowing of the promise. The foreshadowing of the promise that as he is, so shall we be.
In the earth,
because that's what Kepha was asking him. Man, if that's you, I'm trying to be just like you. As you are right now, call me to that.
Call me.
And Mashiach's immediate word was, "Come on. Come on."
Listen, it's time to go home. It's time to go home, man. You got people on the continent needs this truth, bro. They need this, man.
But when he saw the wind boisterous, he was afraid. And beginning to sink, he cried, saying, "Adonai, save me." And immediately Yahusha stretched forth his hand and caught him and said unto him, "O ye little faith, wherefore did you doubt?" And when they were coming to the ship, the wind ceased. Man, he allows, like, just understanding that, he allows, right? Like when we feel like your order, and this is like really because like start feeling like your world is too cluttered or things is going in the wrong direction. Man, the Most High allows. He allows. What are you gonna stand on? Because they was completely fearful. But then the minute he got in the boat, the wind ceased. The wind didn't just cease because they realized, they failed to accomplish their job. They ceased because they ain't had no dominion. It was the same way on the other incidents when he was in the boat sleep. Now you done been around him to this is all of our fragility. I'm not looking at them.
I know, but
because we do this.
I know.
We don't witness all types of things. They've seen the power of the Most High, and then we frazzled in the situation, and we not realizing, man, he right there, he sleep.
Yeah.
If he sleep, what am I worried about?
Why ain't I resting?
Why ain't I resting?
Right.
And he say, man, shalom. He speaks shalom to it all, and everything got to come to an end. It got to come to a state of peace and rest. And they like, who in the world is this man that controls the elements? The light that have the ability to walk on the same waters that needed to be divided, the same waters that hold the rebellious in judgment, the same waters that we are all subjugated to outside of him, because they will consume you.
Right.
They will consume you. Hamashiach said, man, I'm giving you a dominion. I'm giving my children a dominion. He gave them, those who believe him have the rights to be called the sons of the Most High, the sons of Yahuwah. There's a dominion that he has given us, even over this kingdom.
Yes.
Even over this kingdom, because it'll even if we don't have it in fullness now, we have enough to get through.
Right. And that's the whole idea. The thing is that, when you consider the expense or the price that was paid to bring you in this witness, and when you recognize that in this witness, right, you have everything you need to get the job done, right? And you have this emunah, right, that you are trusting in Yahuwah Alua for, right? You become that righteousness, right, that's selected from an everlasting plan of righteousness. You become that righteousness that's going to wield that sword. You're gonna be that righteousness that's going to serve justice on the sinners, right? You're gonna be what your code was called to be. But you got to understand it's only in the witness. It's only receive this water, this blood, and this ruach hakodesh. Not just the water. Because Yahudah said in that 5th chapter, he said, not water only,
Mm-hmm.
Not water only, but water and a Ruach HaKodesh. And you have to understand that it's in this blood that provides an atonement.
Hallelujah.
So you got to understand that, you got to have.
And I'm gonna end after this right here. But so this right here, it's not the same time that they crossed the one of the seas, but in this particular instance, what we were just talking about, and when they had sent it started in verse 36, and when they had sent away the multitude, they took him even as he was in the ship, and there were also with them other little ships, and there arose a great storm of wind, and the waves beat into the ship so that it was now full. And he was in the hinder part of the ship, asleep on a pillow. He was resting. He had a pillow and everything. He was resting. And they awake him and say unto him, Rabbi, do you not care that we perish? And he arose and rebuked the wind and said unto the sea, Peace, be still. And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. And he said unto them, Why are ye so fearful? How is it that ye have no faith? And they feared exceedingly and said one to another, What manner of man is this, that even the wind and the sea obey him? Now, he operates in dominion, but there's something else that happens. He says that, so you have a ship and little ships following them.
Right.
So what is the responsibility and the witness of his? If we show fear, if people watching and following us.
Right. I feel you. Right. I got you. Right. I got you. Yeah.
So now when they cross, so then when you go to chapter 5, right, and they come over onto the other side of the sea into the country of the Girgashim, which is who are the Girgashim? The Gadarenes. Picture of me.
The native tribe.
One of the native tribes of Canaan, right? And when he was come out of the ship, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean ruach. As soon as he came out the ship, right? So this is by the sea. So by the sea, you got a man with an unclean ruach, right? Who had his dwelling among the tombs, and no man could bind him, no, not with chains, because that he had been often bound with fetters and chains, and the chains had been plucked asunder by him, and the fetters broken in pieces, neither could any man tame him. And always, night and day, he was in the mountains and in the tombs, crying and cutting himself with stones. But when he saw Yahusha afar off, he ran and worshipped him, right? And cried with a loud voice and said, What have I to do with you, Yahusha, son of El Elyon? I adjure you by Elohim that you torment me not. For he said unto him, Come out of that man, you unclean ruach. And he asked him, What is your name? And he answered, saying, My name is Legion, for we are many. And he besought him much that he would not send them away out of the country. Now there was there nigh unto the mountains a great herd of swine feeding. And so now he gives the parable of what happens when evil ruach comes out of a man. He is sent into what? A dry and hot place.
Yeah.
Right? And he says he finds no rest. And he says, what? I will return to where I just came from.
Right.
And so the ruach is like, man, don't send me out this country. I know where you have the power to send me. Please. Right? And he says, and all the devils besought him, saying, Send us into the swine that we may enter them. Which is why, understand, I have to go to this church, and they're like, oh no, you can eat all clean things. I said, well, this is before I knew anything, but I knew enough that I don't want to eat nothing that a legion of demons asks to enter. They have access to that.
Right?
Why would I put that in my body?
Right.
And forthwith Yahusha gave them leave, and the unclean ruach went out and entered into the swine, and the herd ran violently down a steep place into the sea. And there were about 2,000 and were choked in the sea. The sea.
Yeah.
They went back to the marine kingdom.
They went back to the marine kingdom. And you notice, because technically, right? Technically, when you think about this whole scenario, right? You see, there's these demons, these devils, at least 2,000 of them. Or how many of them was there, right? Because they were in the man, right?
Yeah.
And when they're casted out, they're in dry places, right? Right? And they seek to go into or come back to the place that they were in, right? So they knew that once they got out, they weren't coming back in this man, right? Right? So they wanted to go into these pigs, not with the intentions of staying, right? But intentions
getting back to the marine kingdom. And so if you look, there's 2,000 pigs, right? Now I don't know how many, but there was a legion inside this one man.
Right.
A legion has a denomination, I think, of 20,000.
Yeah.
I think it's 20,000 that makes a legion. But I know that he said that when one demon departs, it brings back 7 worse. So, if it's 2,000 pigs, it's probably between 14 and 20,000 demons that went head first trying to get back to the marine kingdom. They knew what they was doing, because they ain't just run off a cliff.
Yeah, they did.
All crazy. They was like, no, we got to get away from this man. Take us back to the depths.
Yeah. We ain't gonna be able to do what we need to do here. We gotta go. Right. That's good, man.
But dominion and authority. The first thing they did when they saw him was that they came and bowed.
They acknowledged who
they knew dominion.
Mm-hmm.
And we get to see that throughout the Acts of the Apostles, where you see unclean RUACH'S following around Paul, and Paul just saying, man, all right, I had enough of this. We get to see that this is how we are to operate. Like we get to move back into this authority. We get to bring order and structure and make straight the way that the everything Enoch said, like in this, like it's established.
Right.
It's forever. It's been established, yo. It's not. It is not without form and void. Again, it is established.
Right.
All right, that's it. That's all I got.
Look, man. Listen. Come on, man. What did you want me for this morning? Man, this is good, man. This is good, man. Mind you, man, I may not even go in on Shabbat today. I might just, put this up. Oh man, listen. This is beautiful, man.
Hallelujah.
This is beautiful. I think it'd be a good thing to expand on just and you can do this for your own personal benefit, but on understanding how the waters in the deeps connect to the marine kingdom and on the order of the marine kingdom. And Hollywood has already given us an idea of what the marine kingdom represented. And even these Greek gods, right? These Greek gods that are of the water. What is it, Poseidon or
Trident, all them little
right?
The merman, the mermaids, all the little parts of that kingdom.
Right. And how it has influenced the Eretz, right? With its maritime laws.
Yep.
Right. How it has influenced That's why, again, again, when he says that the world becomes perverse, after Yahusha's Hamashiach's witness comes, after Hasatan's head is bruised and Yahusha heel is bruised, right? After that darkness, that comes upon the arrest, and perversion runs rampant, right? The marine kingdom's influence is still being impressed or oppressing, right? The sons of Yahuwah, because you think about it, even in maritime law, going before the courts, right? As Yahudim, we're always dealt out a more severe charge.
Every time.
Right? Because the marine kingdom hates the seed of Yahuwah.
That's heavy.
Right?
Wow.
So, it's just that, even as you explore that, I'd be definitely interested to see. We can just, one day you call, we can hash it up, or you can bring it on the spot. It don't. But listen, man, listen. It's a beautiful lesson. It's a beautiful lesson. It's a beautiful lesson. It is. It's a beautiful lesson. And this one I definitely want you. You always get them to me as soon as you can, but this one,
Yeah, I figured it out now because I was tuning them to the cloud and it'll give me trouble on the download. But I just record to the computer so it download faster. Then I can send it to you faster.
All right, because this may be the Shabbat lesson of the day. I may not go in.
Yeah.
I think what I might do is I might just study, because I know what Yahuwah is what he's giving me to bring forth, right? So, and what's interesting is that some of what you said shedded light on even further as to why we as a nation of people have to understand that we have to fulfill prophecy. It's not an option. I mean, the scripture tells us to come out of Babylon, then we have to come out of Babylon.
Right? Come out of Babylon.
If we have the means to come out of Babylon, we should willingly make the transition, right? If we want to go out of Babylon and we don't have the means, right, we need to trust Yahuwah and Emunah to give us what we need from the people of this nation, right? Because Yahuwah takes the wealth of the wicked and he's laid it up for the just. Sinners have the task of gathering it up to hand it over to us, right? So what we need to make the transition to the continent. And even in the continent, we understand that we're all going to be brought to the place in Yahuwah, the place where Yahuwah wants us all to be at the time he wants us to be there. But listen, the objective is to go home. The objective is not to sit here in Babylon and wait for Babylon to necessarily provide us a handout. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, Yahudah is resourceful. Yahudah is whom his brothers shall praise. Yahudah, his hand's going to be on the neck of his enemies. Yahudah is that nation, that tribe that Yahuwah has set to bring order, right? And listen, this is what we got to do. This ain't optional. And if you choose not to, then what you're saying is you're choosing Babylon, right? If you choose not to come into agreement with what ToRaH says, then you're choosing Babylon, right? Because either you're going to choose to fulfill what Yahuwah has called in you to fulfill in Emunah, or you're choosing Babylon. You're choosing not to.
That's it.
So yeah, that's that. So, oh man, I'm gonna go ahead and close us out, and we're gonna give Yahuwah glory and praise right now. Yahuwah, praise your name. Yahuwah, I thank you for you by your Ruach HaKodesh spoken. And Yahuwah, we have heard your word and we receive your word in Emunah. Yahuwah, your word has truly been a lamp unto our feet. It has truly been a light unto our pathway. This word is for those who have an ear to hear. And Yahuwah, I give you praise for this word, this ToRaH of truth.
Thank you.
Yahuwah, I give you praise because the entrance of your word gives light. Yahuwah, your spoken word reveals righteousness and light, and we give you praise.
Thank
Yahuwah,
you.
I thank you in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach for this Achi, Yahuwah, who is submitted to you and who obeys you, who trusts in you, and who honors you, and who gives himself to your word, your word. Yahuwah, I pray that you would cause everything he needs to come to pass. Yahuwah, everything that he speaks in righteousness to come to pass. Everything that he believes for you in righteousness to come to pass. Yahuwah, we set ourselves in agreement. I agree with this Achi in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach that everything we need, he needs, comes to pass. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, Yahuwah, we just declare your ToRaH and your Besor to be true. Yahuwah, I pray that everyone that hears and listens to this word, those that you have chosen, for we recognize that there are many that are called, many that are waking up to who they are, but only a few are coming into this witness. Only a few are being quickened by your Ruach HaKodesh. Yahuwah, we pray that those who are being quickened will hear this word and be blessed, that it will change their outcome. It will change their outlook. Yahuwah, in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, we come against every evil ruach by the authority of the name of Yahushua HaMashiach that has been sent as emissaries to distract, to hinder, to prevent those you have chosen from receiving your word. We come against them by the authority of the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. As Yahushua spoke to Hasatan and told him to get ye hence, we speak a word. We declare the devils and demons and ruachs that would try to interfere, to hinder, interject, to cause confusion. We command you to leave now by the authority of the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Now, Yahuwah, you said that whatever we do on earth shall be done in the Shamaim, and we declare it to be so. Everything in the Arets, in the Shamaim, to be done on the Arets. We declare it so by the authority of the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Yahuwah, I thank you that no weapon turned against us prospers. No weapon turned against us prospers. Yahuwah, and every tongue that rises up against us in judgment, we shall condemn. For this is our heritage as the sons and daughters of Yahuwah. Yahuwah, I give you praise. Now, Yahuwah, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight. Yahuwah, our saint, Yahuwah, our redeemer. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, I pray. Hallelujah.
Yeah. Thank you, Abba.
Yeah, man.
Hallelujah.
That's going up, bro. That's going up. That's going up. That's going up. That's going up. Matter of fact, that's going up before anything else go up. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
ToRaH Garden, speaking the absolute truth. ToRaH Nation.